tonight. I'll go into that. I'll remind us, or I'll talk about that as we get to those. And just a note about recording of the meeting. We're going to try and record, but if Chris can't be here, we're not going to stress about it. We're not going to try and find a replacement. We tried doing that last, I think, a couple months ago, and it was very stressful. Yeah, it didn't work that well. On a perhaps more dour note, we were not successful with our Casa Show application. They had a lot of applications, and we just didn't make the cut this time. But they certainly said we should try again. And then last night we had our David Duchemin webinar, which I think was quite a success. I think George mentioned there was 87 people who attended. I'm not entirely sure how many of those were from us, but I did notice that many of the questions came from our club. So I think it was quite well attended. And I thought tonight, for those who attended, it might be kind of nice just to talk about what struck you or what stuck out to you. So I'll, of course, start. I'm not going to put you on the spot without doing it for me, without me going first. One of the things that stuck out to me was he talked about the difference between taking a photo of something and taking a photo about something. And that really struck me, that the example he gave was, well, you can take a photo of a bear, and you can have lots of photos of a bear, but a bear with different emotions or in different positions is about something different. It might be about the relationship between the mother bear and the cub, as opposed to a bear snoozing in the shade. Those are two different abouts, and so that was one thing that definitely stuck out to me. Another item that kind of opened my eyes was I thought was a really great idea, was the idea of looking for contrast. He gave an example. He had one example of it was a couple of women who were gathering firewood, but you could see in the background these windmills, like power generating windmills. And he was talking about just the contrast between this very simple way of getting energy, which is burning wood, versus this more modern form. And that stuck out to me. And the last one I'll mention is one of the things he really encouraged was shooting more than you think you really should. That don't stay, if you have, I think the way he phrased it is, if you plan to be someplace for 2 hours, stay for 3. Not always practical. I think he at one point is like, well, if you go traveling, you book a hotel for 2 days, stay for 3. I don't know, that doesn't quite work with kids, I find. So those were 3 things that spoke to me. I'm curious to hear from the club. What were some of the things that of those of you who attended, what's stuck out to you? Gord. Move your camera. He did. He said, I think the way he phrased it is, if you take nothing else away from this, I want you to move your camera. Put it in different positions than you would normally put it. He definitely seemed to be a fan of really low, really wide photography. That seemed to be a lot of his photos. Yep. What else? Those who attended. About changing lenses. Yeah, so he talked about that lenses have different characters. So not just characteristics, but that the mood or what you're going to get out of taking a photo with a very wide angle versus a telephoto, it's not just about, as he phrased, moving your feet. We often hear that as, zoom with your feet. And he's like, well, yes, but that's not really going to help you in a lot of cases, because the lens itself that you use is going to give you a different perspective, a different mood. Yeah, that was definitely something. Yeah, yeah.
I liked it about the, when you set up, what's the photo about? And so today when I was editing John's photos, I was working on the thing for the photo fusion. And I kept thinking.
Sorry, it just occurred to me, we should probably get a mic so others could hear. I apologize, that didn't occur to me. That's okay. Yeah.
Okay, I was just saying that when he was talking about the photo, what is it about, and how that influences how you edit it. So today when I was editing John's photos, I was really aware of thinking about that and making your edits work to accentuate what's the photo about. So I really like that.
Yeah, like I said, the sort of versus about, I thought was really powerful.
And this from the only person in the room that doesn't take the pictures, just do the editing.
You just do the editing, yeah. Thanks.
The one thing I was going to say was that I don't know how to say this. He was talking about, he didn't say it as looking for the light, but he was saying how backlighting doesn't just happen. Like, you don't drive by and say, hey, there's backlighting. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to see that there is backlighting, even though you don't see it. Like, if you're on this side of the backlighting, you know in your head that you need to go around the other side of the animals or whatever and be able to foresee that there will be backlighting if you move your feet, kind of thing. So that was part of the moving your feet, but it was also looking for the light and looking for, not just looking out the window and say, well, that's not a very good scene because it's lit from the front. You know that it's going to be lit from the back, and he loves backlighting or whatever, so that's why he was looking at the backlighting. But it was kind of about moving your feet for the light, I guess.
Yeah, I took it as look what, maybe this was his phrase, look what the light is actually doing, or what it can do for you. Yeah.
Well,
sorry,
and then
John?
also, not what the camera wants you to do, but go a couple stops slower to get the darkness in the background and the light showing better on the wall and your subjects' faces and whatnot. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he had an example.
He really did it well.
Yeah, he had an example of taking a photo in, I think it was like a cave or something.
Well, it was a rock hut with an open window.
Is that what it was, a rock hut? But he was talking about if he had let the camera choose the settings, it would be very bright because there was this beam of light coming in. And you would sure see the texture, but that's not what he wanted. He wanted the light on the people instead. And so he was talking about how he stopped down like 3 stops or something so that it was.
And he moved to the side of the people so that he could see the light. And they weren't backlit. He
Oh,
said
that's right.
if he was behind him and they were backlit, all you would see was the rims of the people, whereas he moved to the side and you could see that they were actually looking at the light. And
Yeah?
yeah.
And also where he did the elephant portrait and laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Made that elephant look huge.
Yeah, so he talked about taking this, like I said, he seemed to really like being low and wide, and he had this shot of an elephant, and I think he said he was underneath the bumper of his Jeep to take it, and yeah, it was definitely intimidating. Others, what were some other things that people took from the webinar?
Just that he was really good, so if you didn't see it and you have a chance to see it, you should. Like, the hour and a half flew by like, poof, nothing.
Is that available for the club for replay?
Yes, it should be available to the club for replay. George, were they going to send it to you?
Yeah, I've got
all right,
it.
we already have it.
I just need to clarify with George how we can share it, whether we need to show it here or whether we can actually let you guys download it. I don't know. I have to clarify some things. But we do have it, so we'll arrange something for those that didn't see it or want to see it again.
Yeah. Last call? Anything? Yeah, and yes, thanks to George for, first of all, suggesting it, and second of all, for organizing it for us. I know there was a lot of back and forth between him and David's manager. So yeah, really appreciated that. Yeah. Okay. We will move on with our meeting. And next, just want to make sure. Okay. So what we'll look at next is on last Saturday, we had a field trip to Cottonwood Park. I had actually never been to it before and discovered it was actually a 3-minute drive from my house. And I'm like, okay, I'm definitely coming back here. I just didn't even know it was there, and I should have. But okay, we'll go ahead. And yes, thank you for getting the lights. It's green. Oh, there we go. Okay. It looked like we had as much fun taking photos of each other as we did the scenery there. I think that's one of the photo show or field trip shows where I've seen the most photos of each other, and I actually think that represents the field trip quite well. I think I felt one of the things I certainly took away from it was more, talking to my fellow photographers was as much a joy to me as was just being out there. I learned where the rattlesnake nests are now, thanks to John, and where not to go in the park. Okay, next we will be, we're going to do a bean there from Wayne. Great. Well, thank you, Wayne, for sharing that. Are there just any questions you want to ask Wayne about the place? So that's on the Saskatchewan side, yeah.
Was it just at that particular area you couldn't have dogs, or is there no dogs?
That was just on the beach at the lake there.
So no dogs on the beach. Okay. Good to know when I maybe take my dog there. Okay. We'll have a brief pause as we're going to switch laptops here. What we're going to have is an ed segment by Brani, who's going to talk a little bit about Lightroom. So we'll give him a minute to set up. And I knew I should have looked up photograph jokes to fill in the time. Talk to your neighbors. Sorry? Yeah, sure. You want to come? Yeah, talk about Stampede.
Hello? Okay, just for those that are signed up, you probably know everything. But for those that haven't signed up for the Stampede exhibit, if you still would like to, we're exhibiting at the Stampede. We have, I think, 14 people that are signed up right now, and we can put 30 images in, so we still have room. If we only get one or two, so that like it's,
Nice to meet you. Sorry.
yeah, if we get under 30, we'll make sure that everybody, we're not exactly during it, because we'll make sure everybody has an image that goes in. So I think the way we decided is that probably your first image is just up to you, what you decide, what your best image is or whatever that you want to put in. And then if we have an overflow, then we'll start looking at the rest that are, to see how we can fill up the rest of it to make the 30 images. Then we'll have a group of people. But there are a group of us that do a lot of printing, and we're available to help you since this is printing and not a lot of people do printing. If there's any critiques or any help that we can give you to make sure that your print comes out really awesome, then we would like to help you ahead of time. And we need to know what you're doing before, they say the end of March, beginning of April, so we have to know what size it is, what it is, and title and the whole thing. We don't have to actually have the image until July, but they are putting these on an online catalog so that your image can be for sale, or your photograph or whatever can be for sale, and it will be like all over the world or whatever, right, wherever they have their online catalog. So that's good. And we're going to be far more open this year. It's really up to you how you print and frame it and what size you do it. About the only limitation is it can't be bigger than 44 inches because that's how wide the panel is. So it's a lot more open in that way for you guys than we were last year. So if you're still interested, just email back the contact at Lethbridge Photo Club and we'll get you on the list. And I think this is the last time I'll talk to the whole club, so, and from now on I'll just correspond with all the ones that have signed up for the Stampede. Pardon me? The general theme is called Moving Beyond, and I asked her what that meant, and she said it had to do with coming out of COVID and moving beyond what we went through in COVID. So it really is open, basically. It's what you're doing to get out there and to enjoy life and moving beyond what COVID did to us, I guess, kind of. So it really is open to anything. It really is. I had no idea. Just anything. And if you can't come up with a title, I don't even think the title. Like last year, the title was something about the past or something.
I think it was Moment in Time.
Moment in time, and it really, like we had animal pictures and we had landscapes, and we really didn't tie it to the theme. So don't overthink it. Is all I can say. Pick your favorite image that you want to do, and if you really want to have a title that links it, then ask for help with the with the committee or whatever. That maybe we can come up with something. But I still don't think you really need to do that. Yeah, and I think that's all. So yeah, we have to have, like I say, we have to have the information end of March, beginning of April, and that's why there's kind of this push right now. But then the actual printing and the image doesn't have to be ready until July when we take it up there, so. And that's all.
I think we're just waiting for the projector to reboot. Yeah.
So we decided to do a quick demo on Lightroom. There's been some interesting updates lately in Lightroom, and a lot of stuff trickled down from Photoshop to Lightroom. So I think that's pretty exciting. So it can speed up your workflow instead of going to Photoshop for a few fixes and going back. I think there's a lot of new features that you can do now in Lightroom. So for those of you who use Lightroom frequently, this is probably not going to be anything new. For the rest of you, hopefully you can learn something new. Yeah. Yeah, it is a little bit off, eh? Oops. Yeah, I think that's probably the best we can get. So I'm just gonna use this picture as a demo, and one of the most interesting features that trickle down from Photoshop to Lightroom is selections. So I chose this picture just to demonstrate few things. I'm not gonna go too much into details, but for me, it's all about flow and saving time when editing. So when I look at a photo first, I think all of us photographers, when we start editing, it's probably to take a look at the photo, and just like it was mentioned at the beginning, you need to know what are you trying to achieve with the photo, right? What it's supposed to tell you. So, yeah, before you start editing, just think what you're trying to achieve. I think that's the message. And so, the first feature that was trickled down from Photoshop is adding content aware. So, you remember in Lightroom we've been having forever clone and heal tools, but now we have content aware remove, so which is kind of fun. So for example, if I decide to remove this bench from here, let's see how good of a job it does. So you just select what you're trying to remove and leave it up to Lightroom. So not terribly bad. But definitely a good feature to have. I'm pretty sure you can adjust these things around and move them around until you get what you're looking for. I probably didn't do a very good job on this, but anyways, this is one of the features, the new ones, and. The selection part is right here with the masking. So when you click on here, you can decide now if you want to adjust the sky, the background, the subject. So let's say if I decide to make changes to the sky, just click on the sky. The AI algorithm detects the sky and automatically shows the overlay. What I like to do is actually change the overlay on a little bit more saturated. So if you click on down here, you can change the opacity. So sometimes it's a little bit better to see on certain things. So now, I don't know if you can see it on the screen. You can see that there's a little part of here of red, as well a little bit here. So I'll boost the opacity even more. So if you want to remove this from the selection, since this is not part of the sky, you can just simply click subtract, and then you have different tools to choose how you want to subtract. So I would just use a simple brush and just remove this from the selection. Now, when you press letter O, you're toggling between the opacity or the overlay, sorry. So if you take that off, now you can just work on the sky. So let's say I'm gonna show this in extreme. So let's say I would just go all the way down, increase the contrast, put lots of clarity, dehaze. So now what's gonna happen is, you see these halos around the edges, right? Which doesn't really look good, and you can tell it's been over processed. So I intentionally used, really high values on of these sliders, but just to demonstrate how to deal with this kind of situation when you don't want to see halos. There's a little trick to it, and that is called intersect with mask. So in this case, let's say I can use a linear gradient filter, and just drag it down the way I want. So obviously it's gradually applying the effect from the top to the bottom. So let's say I'm happy with this. If I look at the edges now, it's not as bad as it was before. I can see the halos. So that's one way to deal with this this kind of situation. So again, it was you click on these three dots and then just intersect. And then you can use, again, different ways how to intersect. And when you're done with the sky, let's say you want to work only on the grass. So how would you do that? Let me just move the sky a little bit less crazy, so it doesn't look as bad. So you add a new mask. And this time, I'm going to select background. So again, the AI will compute and try to do its best to find the background. So now, it will select the background with the sky. So what can we do is subtract the sky. So subtract and select sky, and now you have just the green. So now you're working only on the grass. So again, you can make it greener or yellowish, whatever you like. You can remove the texture and so on. So now the last thing, it's let's say the object. So again, you create a new mask, select object. Oh. Let's see, let's try this again. Select subject, sorry. So now you have the church only, and again, you can work on that. So you have three different selections, one for the sky, one for the background, and one for the object, and you can work on those separately and very easily, as you could see, to mask them. So again, I'm no Lightroom guru, and the way maybe you do it might be different than mine, and if you guys have any suggestions, how to improve my workflow or efficiency, let me know. I would be happy to learn from you guys. But this is how I kind of quickly adjust photos, and this works for landscape, for portraits, for anything, and it's very very simple and quick to work on your photo and selectively adjust the parts you want. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any questions or any suggestions how you guys do it. Feel free to even come here and show me if you do it a different way. Oh yeah, right, yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. You can see your before and after. Also, I think it's a backslash when you can toggle between before and after. Yeah, I know there's different functions which I haven't advanced yet into, and sometimes I struggle with refining the masks. So, for example, let me have a look at this one. So, this on the subjects. So, as you can tell, let me just turn the mask on. There's a little chimney that's been missed, for example. See. So again, if you want to add it, this part to the selection, you just add, and again, there's like different ways how to do it. So I'll just kind of for now, I'm just going to use the brush, and I'll just add it. Again, it's nothing special, but yeah. So that's how you can add it into the selection. So all the changes applies into the whole subject. I know there's other few tricks to do with intersects and stuff, when you can use color ranges and luminance ranges. Again, I haven't advanced too much into it since when I work with sky or the background, these masks really work well for me. So, but I know there's a different way how to go around selections. So that's basically one of the features I just want to highlight that's new in the Lightroom, besides the content aware. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I think it would be good to discuss. If you guys work in Lightroom and you have different ways to mask, I would like to learn from you. So, or let me know during the break.
Many times to remove something, use content aware, and then the clone stamp tool around it to make it more natural. But here you also have to combine all three of them so that you get something that looks very even and natural.
Okay, thank you. So what Maximo was saying is when using this content aware, as you can tell, it's really not matching. Let me just delete this. So Maxim was saying that using the content aware to start with, And then he uses, this one didn't work very well. Let's try again. So he uses content aware to start with, and then he uses the healing and clone stamp tool to fix the rest. Let's see if we can do it. To make it look a lot better. Something like that, maybe. And then maybe with some healing, it might work. With a little bit of work.
Yeah, it depends with each subject.
Yeah. I still feel that Photoshop is better for this kind of work, especially when you're working on a little bit busier or complex removals. I still go to Photoshop for this kind of things. But for something simple, maybe like removing this pole or something, I'm pretty sure it should work well. Let's see. Yeah, they didn't do that such a good job. So maybe they still need to work on it a little bit. Yeah. I have to remove the pole first?
Yes, before you edit the sky. Otherwise,
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Yeah, because we edited the sky, that's why it, so if I, let's say, go into my sky selection, I'll just delete that. Let's see if that would fix it. Yeah, it's a little better. There. Yeah, thanks, Gord. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so maybe start with cloning first before you start making adjustments. Kind of make it easier for the AI. Yeah, that was a great suggestion.
One comment I've heard with some of the instructors, they're saying, some of these selection tools are not 100%, but if they're 90% and you use them, you're 90% of the way there, right? So then you just got some little fine tuning to do to get the rest of it done. So it's even though they're not perfect, they're still a great time saver.
Yeah, so what Doug was saying is that even though they're not 100% sometimes, they still get you closer, to the final results and save you time. So that's pretty much what it is. And I feel like with the AI being trained every year, even in Photoshop, what the AI does, it's just amazing. Every year, even the content aware, just getting better and better and better. Like pretty soon, the AI will be on top of things, and it'll be so easy to edit photos. Sometimes it's just scary to think about it, what you can do with AI. But yeah, this is what I just wanted to demonstrate tonight. These few features in Lightroom. If you have any questions, let me know during the break, or if you have any tips, suggestions, let me know. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that last one actually solves the problem I've been having. I've been running into that same white thing when, that happened with the poll. Didn't even know what it was, so I certainly learned something new just right then, even though I've been using it for a few months. Great. Well, let's take a break, and we'll be, sorry.
I'd just like to say, 17 years ago, Brani would have been drummed out of the club.
17 years ago, Brani would have been drummed out of the club for what he just did. Well, I guess that shows how times have changed. Yeah. Great. All right. We'll be back in 15, 20 minutes.